Now, with the testimony of Colonel Alexander Vindman underway, President Trump's defenders are now in a panic to smear what could be the most dangerous witness to Donald Trump's criminality in the call with Ukraine. So now, first we've got Fox host Laura Ingraham, right? So now on Monday's show, she is accusing the Ukrainian-born Vindman of being a double agent for Ukraine. I'm not kidding. On her Monday show, Ingram and her guest John Yoo, of course, authored the torture memos, discussed how Vindman is a Ukrainian immigrant and therefore has dual loyalty. Said, quote, he's a decorated colonel, by the way, in the Iraq War, but because Colonel Vindman emigrated to Ukraine along with his family when he was 3, and is fluent in Ukrainian and Russian, Ukrainian officials sought advice from him about how to deal with Mr. Giuliani. Well, here's the thing. Vindman, in his statement, says, I was very worried about Giuliani actually doing this. And so I brought it to my superior not once, but twice, this entire thing. Once before the call, once after the call. Now, she continued by saying, here we have a U.S. national security official who is advising Ukraine while working inside the White House, apparently against the president's interest. There's no proof of that. And usually they spoke in English. Isn't that kind of an interesting angle on the story? In which you replied, you know, some people might call that espionage. So, oh no, this guy, decorated war veteran, right? Purple Heart recipient, served in the Iraq War, did all this stuff, right? Well, he's a Ukrainian immigrant, and so therefore, he must be serving Ukraine. He must be a double agent. He must be a spy. Those are some really heavy allegations here. But there's more. We've got a video here from former Representative Sean Duffy. So now, he's a former Republican and a Trump supporter, and this is what this is a conversation that he had on CNN. Let's take a look.
When I asked you about Colonel Vindman, the very first thing you said was he was Ukrainian. So yes or no? Do you trust Ambassador Bill Taylor more because he was born in the United States? Where does the location of his birth matter? Mark Meadows, who I think you agree with, was born in France. Is he right. Pro-French by definition? That's a pretty stunning comment you made just there. And it's remarkable and notable given that Laura Ingraham last night in her apparent talking points brought it up as well.
So I read his statement, John, and I'm sure you did as well. And it seems very clear that he is incredibly concerned about Ukrainian defense. I don't know that he's concerned about American policy, but his main mission was to make sure that the Ukraine got those weapons. I understand that. We all have an affinity to our homeland where we came from. Like me, I'm sure that Vindman has the same affinity. Or like Mark Meadows.
I'm just sorry. Are you suggesting that you would put Irish defense over U.S. defense? Is that what you're saying, Congressman?
So are we saying that by giving this money to the Ukraine, that absolutely is the money that's going to secure American national defense against Russia? I mean, I don't believe that. And so he's entitled to his opinion. He has an affinity, I think, for the Ukraine. He speaks Ukrainian. He came from the country, and he wants to make sure they're safe and free. I understand that.
That's an asset for this country.
My point is the president is the one who gets to set the policy, and he's the one who looks out for America first.
All right, so I just got to say, John Berman with the great follow-ups there. Wait. Are you saying that, because this person has a French background or whatever, or immigrated, or is this French, that they have an affinity towards France if they're an American citizen? Again, that's literal dual loyalty. Now, why don't you replace, and here's an exercise for Sean Duffy, replace Ukrainian with Jew. You end up getting a deeply anti-Semitic smear that they use against Jewish people. Oh, you've got dual loyalty. Oh, you've got dual loyalty. In fact, they were the same people that were, accusing Representative Ilhan Omar of having a dual loyalty with she's from Somalia, but having some sort of dual loyalty. They were accusing Omar of accusing Jewish people of having a dual loyalty, when that's not at all what she was saying. So sorry about that. I got that a little confused, but nonetheless, that's sort of that same smear, right? That you see, oh, you've got a dual loyalty to Ukraine because you were born in Ukraine and brought here when you were 3 years old. Okay, really? All right. So now, here's the thing. I actually kind of figured that they would go with this smear. Why? Because that's what they do. Oh, we're gonna now play with the idea that you're the other, that you're not actually loyal to the country, to America. Oh, okay. Well, I see where you're going, right? Um, Again, he's a naturalized citizen. He's an American, and he actually served in the military. Sean Duffy, however, is a moron and apparently a xenophobe. So now it's it continues. So now we go to Fox and Friends, right? So now Fox and Friends, Brian Kilmeade, they were having this discussion, and Brian Kilmeade's going to say something stupid. Take a look.
Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman has to say. He's an Iraq veteran. He's been detailed to the National Security Council. He's a 20-year vet, and he apparently heard that phone call and was so upset he went directly to his bosses and said, "The president can't do that."
It's the same phone call that you have read, the transcript between our president and the president of Ukraine.
So he's got a Purple Heart, and he is from the Soviet Union. He emigrated here and has an affinity to the Ukrainian people.
Okay, so I love that. She's like, "Oh no, it's the same transcript that you read. That's not a transcript; it's a memo. The actual transcript is literally locked away in a secret server. Gee, I wonder why it's locked away in a server. Weird. But anyway, so let's go to Kilmeade, right? So here we have more of the same, right? Implying, oh look, he was born in the Soviet Union. He feels simpatico with Ukraine, and that's what's said. He's got an affinity towards the Ukrainian people. So for me, when he brings up, oh, it's the Soviet Union, right? I think that he wants to make the audience, by saying that, relate this guy to communism, right? And socialism. Well, Trump hates socialism. And so they want to think, oh, this guy's he's a socialist, communist, never Trumper that wants to take down the president. And so that's why he's lying about the transcript about Ukraine, because I read it and I didn't find anything wrong with that. But he must be making things up. See, that's what you have, right? But you know what's funny? It kind of counteracts the argument that Trump was just looking into corruption in Ukraine to help the Ukrainians. And now suddenly, when you look out for Ukraine or you feel some sort of simpatico with Ukraine, that somehow is bad. Right. The pretzels that they are twisting themselves into to defend Donald Trump is remarkable at this point. I never thought a game of Twister could go on for almost 4 straight years. These Republicans, man, all the time, I don't think they even remember what their original shape is anymore. Or remember at all what they actually believe. Again, they don't believe in law enforcement. They don't respect the troops. They don't respect the chain of command. And they don't respect conservative values of, not blowing up the deficit. Apparently, that was something that they seemed very concerned about during the Obama administration. Now they suddenly don't care as much, now that we have over $1 trillion deficits. All that stuff. So, look, all this is in, unfortunately, service to President Donald Trump. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, You know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.